So I just got sicker and sicker. And the one thing I knew, thank God, because I was such a good girl, you know, it's like I didn't listen to anything inside me. I just did the right things. But I knew I had to get away to college. I knew I had to get away from my family. I had to get away. I was born into a Jewish Beverly Hills family. There was a lot of money, a lot of materialism. And I just knew I had to get out. I had to see world beyond the world I was born in. And that was probably the beginning of me starting to heal, was getting outside the world that I knew. And I went to college, and you know, it was my second year of college, and my first year I was still kind of doing the same stuff, but the second year it was like my second year of trying to take business classes to try and get into the Wharton School of Business. I was taking it was an accounting class, and it was the first day, and I walked in. And I sat down, and every cell in my body knew that I was in the wrong place. And that I did not belong there, that it wasn't for me, you know? And I got up and I left. And that was the first time that I had dared to actually listen to myself, to what I wanted. And because I had been conditioned to just do the right thing, to do what others said was good to do, rather than listen to my own feelings and my own instincts, the world taught me to not listen to myself. But I remember I called my mom after. I'm like, is it okay? Is it okay? You know, it was hard for me to trust that it was really okay. And thank God she said, sure, there's lots of other majors. Why not? And, you know, I just had this like, wow, it'd be nice to sit and relax and read under trees, you know? So I was like, okay, I'm going to be an English major, you know? And that was the first time that I really listened to myself, you know, that I actually had a self to listen to. You know, I was pretty much a shell that was just going through doing the things, you know. And so after that, there was that was, I feel like, the first major turning point. And then something really interesting happened. This is where it gets interesting. I don't know which came first or second, but I remember there was a moment, I had been an atheist, basically, since I was like, probably like 7 or something like that, you know? I don't know, it just didn't make sense to me the way that people were telling me that God existed or religion, like, it just, something about it didn't feel right to me, and at some point I just, probably out of rebelling against my parents did exert a lot of control in the way they saw the world and things, so probably in some way I was rebelling against my parents, because as a little girl I was very spiritual, but at some point I was like, I don't believe in God. Got kicked out of Hebrew school. So I did have a mind of my own. Somewhere in there I was using it. But so anyways, there's a moment where I remember I was just lying in bed, and it was right before I went to bed, and you know, I was a proclaimed atheist. That's just all there was. I was an atheist. God didn't exist. And something happened where all of a sudden I just found myself contemplating. You know, I was like, you know, if I'm really honest with myself, you know, because, you know, that was my big thing. Oh, my daughter, she's an atheist, you know. So, but now I had to get really honest, you know. Do I really believe there is no God? You know, and in that moment, what I came to was, the truth is, I don't know. I don't know if there is a God or there isn't a God. But I know that if I believed there were a God, I'd probably feel a lot better. That's as far as I got. And after that, there was a lot of really interesting things that happened that basically opened up life in a way where it became pretty mystical. This is the beginning of when I just started to open up to the world. You know, I remember I started taking long walks downtown, you know, looking at the houses and the cobblestones, and just started to dare to explore the world outside my family. You know, it was a very like cooped up, don't leave the family, you know, the world is a scary place, don't, you know. And so I was really scared to open up to the world and to other ideas and values, but I was pretty courageous, and I started spending a lot of time alone. I started leaving the group of friends that I became friends with my freshman year, and I was like, I just want to explore the world, because they were very much like my world, you know. I'd found friends like my friends in high school, and it's like I just wanted to see what more there was to life. And so I remember I was sitting outside the library, and I started talking with this PhD physicist student, and we started talking about philosophy, and you know, I love to talk about philosophy, and he's like, you know, there's a really interesting book that I think you would like, you know, and there's a prayer that I would like to give you that I want you to try, see if you like it. And like, you know, I'd never done anything like this, and he gave me this cool book, and it had these hands on it with like light, and then he gave me this prayer to say before I went to bed, and so I dared to do the prayer before I went to bed, and the next day I got my period. And that was the first time that I had had my period since I was 15 or 14, and I'd only had it once. So that opened me up to like, whoa, you know? And this book was so cool with like these hands of light coming out of it, you know. And then I stumbled into a yoga class. And after one yoga class, just one, I felt peace for the first time in my life. And all I knew is that is what I wanted. I wanted more of that, you know? My life had been such an anxious mess that I just knew whatever I had just experienced, that's where I needed to go more of. That's what I needed to do. So, you know, so these things started happening that opened up my worldview.